All right, so let's jump into it. We're going to be breaking down Kendrick Lamar's 2025 Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah.
And we're really trying to find those details and, in that context that maybe you missed.
Absolutely. And I think even if you aren't, a diehard football fan, this performance, it really was like a major cultural event.
Right.
It showed how music, celebrity, and social commentary, kind of all come together.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're kind of all dealing with these days.
For sure. Okay, so real quick recap. For anyone who hasn't been, totally following this whole drama, Kendrick and Drake have had this massive feud going on for years at this point.
Right.
We're talking diss tracks, social media shade, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, and this rivalry, it goes way deeper than music, right?
Oh, yeah.
It gets into questions of authenticity, who is real hip hop,
Right.
and even some family drama,
Yeah, for sure.
So it's gotten really personal.
Yeah. So leading up to this Super Bowl, there's already all this buzz that Lamar might use the performance to, kind of throw some shade Drake's way.
And that's exactly what he did.
Right.
I mean, he chose a set list that was packed with songs that directly reference their beef.
Yeah.
But he didn't stop there, right?
Uh-huh.
He brought out special guests. He had visual metaphors. The whole thing was this carefully crafted statement.
Looks like a chess game almost.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the set list.
Okay.
So he does Euphoria, which is a track where he goes IN on Drake's parenting skills.
Right.
There's even that line about Drake maybe getting plastic surgery.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
So brutal.
It's a classic hip hop diss, attacking your rival where it hurts.
Right.
But what's so interesting here is that Lamar is doing it on the biggest stage imaginable.
Yeah.
Hundreds of millions of people are watching.
Right.
This isn't just a rap battle anymore. This
No.
is a public takedown.
Yeah. And then he goes into Not Like Us.
Right.
And remember, this is a song where Lamar is basically calling Drake a colonizer in hip-hop.
Yeah.
He's saying Drake is profiting off the culture, but without actually contributing to it.
Right.
Heavy stuff.
It is. And to really drive that point home, guess who shows up on stage to dance during Not Like Us?
Oh, I know this. Serena Williams.
The Serena Williams.
The Serena Williams.
The one and only.
Tennis superstar.
Exactly. And remember,
Rad.
she was rumored to have dated Drake back in the day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So Lamar having her there dancing to a song about Drake being a culture vulture.
Wow.
It's a power move.
Calculated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, talk about adding fuel to the fire.
Right.
So he's using the music to diss Drake.
Yeah.
Then he brings out Serena to twist the knife even further.
It's brilliant. It's layering these different levels of meaning.
Yeah.
And using the Super Bowl's global reach to amplify his message.
For sure. And the crowd went wild. I mean, everyone's talking about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Critics are calling it the final blow in the feud.
Right.
So do Lamar win?
I mean, it definitely shifted the power dynamic.
Okay.
But, declaring a clear winner in something like this.
Yeah.
It's tricky. It's art. It's personal. It means different things to different people.
For sure. Okay. So we've got the diss tracks. We've got the Serena Williams appearance.
Yeah.
What else did Lamar do during this performance that, people might have missed?
So much. I think a lot of the symbolism was subtle but powerful.
Okay.
For example, he incorporated the American flag into his performance,
Right.
but not in that typical patriotic way.
Oh, interesting.
He used the colors red, white, and blue in a way that felt more like a critique of American culture and its history of exploitation.
So he's connecting Drake's actions, this whole idea of being a colonizer in hip-hop,
Right.
to a larger system of appropriation and inequality.
Exactly. He's taking this personal feud and using it to make a broader statement about power, authenticity, and who gets to benefit from cultural trends.
It's almost like he's saying they're both kind of stuck in the system.
Right.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
also that part in Euphoria where he says, so we gotta die, detect a life, and create an environment to cancel each other out.
Yeah, that line was chilling.
It was.
It felt like a commentary on the destructive nature of feuds.
Especially in hip-hop.
Right, especially in hip-hop,
Yeah.
He's acknowledging the potential for violence
Right.
and tragedy.
Yeah.
But he's also kind of pointing a finger at the media.
Yeah.
He's saying we're all complicit in this cycle of hype and drama.
It's like he's warning us about the dangers of getting caught up in these conflicts.
Exactly.
Especially when we're just consuming them as entertainment.
Right. He's reminding us that there are real consequences to this kind of public battle.
Okay, so he's using the music, the visuals, and even his words to make these really pointed statements about Drake, about hip-hop culture,
Right.
and even about, our own roles as consumers of this whole drama.
And he's doing it all on the Super Bowl stage, where he knows the whole world is watching.
Exactly. So you've got the diehard hip-hop fans who are like dissecting every lyric and every reference.
Right.
But then you got millions of other people who are seeing all of this for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think that audience took away from the performance?
You know, I think even if you didn't know all the backstory, you could still feel the tension that came power, the raw emotion.
It definitely wasn't your typical Super Bowl halftime show.
No.
It felt more like performance art.
It did.
Like a statement.
Absolutely. And that's what makes Kendrick Lamar such a compelling artist.
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from controversy. He doesn't play it safe. He uses his platform to push boundaries and to make us think.
Okay, so we've covered the diss tracks, the Serena Williams cameo, the symbolism, the impact on like different audiences.
Right.
There's so much to unpack here.
There is.
But before we move on, I want to hear your thoughts on a couple of specific aspects of the performance.
Okay, let's dig in. One thing that really stood out to me was how Lamar used the stage itself.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just a platform for him to perform.
Right.
It was almost like a character in the story he was telling.
Yeah. There were those giant video screens showing like images of cityscapes and prisons.
Yeah.
And even like a burning American flag.
Those visuals, they weren't just random.
Right.
They were carefully chosen to create this sense of unease.
Okay.
To highlight those themes of social injustice and systemic oppression that Lamar has always addressed in his music.
So he's taking these like personal conflicts with Drake and weaving them into a larger critique of like American society.
Exactly. He's showing us that these feuds, these power struggles, they aren't happening in a vacuum.
Right.
They're connected to bigger issues of race and class and the abuse of power.
Yeah. He also used those screens to show clips from Squid Game.
Yes.
I mean, that show was a global phenomenon.
It was.
Like everyone understood that reference.
It was a brilliant move because Squid Game is all about people being manipulated and pitted against each other for the entertainment of the elite.
Oh, wow.
And by bringing those images into his performance, Lamar is kind of suggesting that he and Drake are both players in a similar game.
It's like he's saying they're being used by the music industry.
Yes.
By the media, by the whole system that profits from their rivalry.
Right. And he's also inviting us, the audience, to question our own roles in that system.
Oh, interesting.
Are we just passive consumers of this drama, or are we complicit in creating it?
It's making me think about all those social media debates. Like the fan wars.
Right.
The way we get so invested in these celebrity feuds.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype, to pick a side and root for your favorite. But Lamar is challenging us to look beyond the surface, to see the bigger forces at play.
And that's what makes this performance so powerful.
Yes.
It's entertaining, it's thought-provoking, and it's speaking to multiple audiences at once.
Yes, absolutely. There's also this really interesting moment where Lamar stops singing.
Oh, yeah.
And just stares directly at the camera for what feels like an eternity.
It was almost uncomfortable to watch.
It was.
Like he was looking right through us.
That moment of silence, it spoke volumes.
Yeah.
It was like he was acknowledging the weight of everything he was saying.
Right.
The burden of being a voice for his generation.
And it made you realize that he's not just a performer.
Right.
He's a human being.
Yeah.
With real emotions and a message he wants to convey.
Right. And it also gave the audience a chance to catch their breath, to process everything they had just witnessed. It was a brilliant use of pacing and tension.
So we've talked about the diss tracks, the symbolism, the stage design, the overall impact of the performance.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on one other aspect, the music itself.
Well, even though Lamar was using some of his older songs to address this ongoing feud, the way he presented them felt fresh and urgent.
It wasn't just a greatest hits set.
Right.
He rearranged the music.
He did.
Added new elements and even incorporated snippets from other songs.
He was basically taking these familiar tracks and turning them into something new, something that reflected the current moment.
It's like he was reclaiming these songs, giving them new meaning in the context of this performance.
Exactly. And by doing that, he was also showing us that art is never static.
Okay.
It's constantly evolving, being reinterpreted, and finding new ways to connect with audiences.
So to sum it up, Lamar's Super Bowl performance, it was more than just a concert.
It was.
It was a carefully crafted statement.
Absolutely.
A social commentary, a reflection on fame and rivalry,
and
a reminder of the power of music to provoke and inspire.
It was a cultural moment that will be debated and analyzed for years to come.
But what about the implications for hip-hop itself?
Oh, that's interesting.
Did Lamar's performance change the game?
That's a great question. Let's explore that in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, so we've unpacked like a ton about Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance.
We have.
But let's zoom out for a second. Did this change the game for hip-hop? Did it set a new standard?
I mean, it definitely raised the bar.
Yeah.
You know, for a long time, Super Bowl halftime shows were pretty safe. You know?
Yeah.
Pop stars, big hits, lots of dancing.
All right.
Lamar brought this level of social commentary
Right.
and artistic ambition that we just haven't really seen before on that stage.
It felt more like performance art
It did.
than a typical halftime show.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it challenged other hip-hop artists to think bigger, you know,
Yeah.
to use their platform to actually say something meaningful.
But some critics argued that Lamar's performance was too focused on the feud with Drake.
Yeah.
They said it overshadowed the music, the message, the whole point.
Yeah, it's true that the feud was a big part of the narrative,
Right.
but I think Lamar was smart about it. You know, he used the drama to draw people in,
Yeah.
but then he layered in these deeper themes about race and power and authenticity.
Right.
He turned a personal conflict into a broader social commentary.
And he did it all without compromising his artistic integrity.
Right.
He didn't water down his message to appeal to a wider audience.
Exactly. He stayed true to himself, and that's what resonated with people.
So what's the legacy of this performance? What will people remember 5, 10 years from now?
I think people will remember it as a turning point.
Okay.
A moment when hip-hop asserted its dominance on the world stage, you know?
Right.
Lamar proved that hip-hop can be more than just entertainment. It can be art, it can be activism, it can be a force for change.
And he did it all on his own terms.
Absolutely.
Without selling out or conforming to expectations.
Right. He showed the world that hip-hop is a powerful and complex art form that deserves to be taken seriously.
It also sparked a lot of conversations about celebrity feuds and the role of social media in our culture.
Right. The way Lamar used the Super Bowl to address his rivalry with Drake, it was unprecedented.
Yeah.
You know, it made people think about the boundaries between public and private life.
Right.
The ethics of airing personal grievances on such a massive platform.
And it raised questions about how we consume celebrity gossip and drama.
Right.
Are we just voyeurs, or are we complicit in perpetuating these conflicts?
Those are complex issues, and there are no easy answers.
Right.
But Lamar's performance forced us to confront them, you know, to think critically about our own roles as consumers of entertainment and information.
So to wrap things up, Lamar's 2025 Super Bowl halftime show, it was a cultural moment.
It was.
That transcended music.
Absolutely.
It was a statement about hip-hop, about America, about fame,
Yeah.
and about the power of art to challenge and inspire.
It was a performance that will continue to be discussed and debated for years to come.
And who knows, maybe it'll even inspire some positive change along the way.
We can only hope.
That's it for our deep dive into Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance.
It is. Thanks for listening.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.